I'll call the meeting to order. 1 p.m. The applicant's conservation hearing today for Tuesday, August 27th, 2024. We'll ask for approval of the agenda from the building board by Sandy, by Paul. Discussion on David's hearing for Tuesday, August 27th, 2024. Discussion on that? Seeing none, all those in favor? Opposed? That's carried. Are there any declarations of conflict of interest? Seeing none. The minutes of the previous meeting, 2024. Is there a mover and second? Mark? Paul? Thank you. Discussion on those? Seeing none, all those in favor? Carried. We'll do audit application number 114-2 for road development within the regulated by independent conservation authority at 75 Blackbriar Street in the city of Lyon. Following the board meeting this morning. So I will ask that I have a motion to sit as the hearings committee. Moved by Sandy, second by Paul. Discussions on that? All those in favor? Opposed? That is carried. So, we're now sitting there for this application. I will now read my remarks. We're now going to conduct a hearing under Section 28 of the Conservation Authorities Act in respect of an application by the Linka Preamble Limited here of Dave and on behalf of landlord Southside Construction and Limited, here at the Hidofrida application number 114-2 for development within a riverine flood hazard land associated with the North Devon River, referred to as the West London Potential Special Policy Area (SBA), and within an area regulated by the Conservation Authority at 75 Blackbriar Street, City of London. Area. The authority has adopted regulations. Section 28 of the Conservation Authority Act, part of the permission of the authority to develop the preliminary regulated by the authority in order to ensure no abuse on the control of flooding, erosion, or damage to cultivate to a water source in the staff have reviewed this request by the applicant, and a copy of staff report has been given to the applicant. Conservation Authority Act Section 2812 provides that permission required under regulation made under clause 1, B, or C shall not be refused or granted subject to conditions unless the person requesting permission be given an opportunity to acquire here before the authority or the authority so directed. Hey, before this hearing, the hearings committee is determine whether or not the application is to be allowed and permit is to be refused with or without. In doing so, we can only consider the material that reports, staff reports, such evidence that may be given, and the submissions be made on behalf of the house. The proceedings will be conducted according to the Statutory Powers Procedure Act under Section 5 of the Canada Evidence Act. A witness may refuse to answer any question on the grounds of the answer they intend to incriminate the person or intend to establish his or her liability in the civil proceeding at the instance of the Crown or of the person. The procedure is in general format of the formal, without the evidence being given on the course of application. If the applicant has any questions to ask the hearing committee authority representative must be directed to. So I will ask staff to please introduce the parent distance. Actually, what we'll do is we'll start with staff and then we'll go to the applicant and we'll introduce ourselves. Oh yes, we are doing live here. This is a open meeting. So live video. We'll turn it over to Sarah with Michelle. Can you introduce yourself?
I'm generally the manager in our house. Want to try together or jump?
I'm Brandon. I'm this.
I'm just having then you take over.
Stephanie Agar, I've been with the architect on the project.
Jared, the nurse, relevant engineering and civil engineering consultant on this project. Trucks, project, and tolerate, construction of this project. Thank you. Please select your preamble, names, and consultants. Seventy eleven member of the board, there's committee. I'm Mark Scott, board member of Woodstock City Council and on the conservation board. Paul Mitchell, counselor, township historian, member of the board of representatives on the Brian Beekman, currently a Ingersoll chair of UTRCA and chair. What I'll do now is I'll just give an overview of how this will work, so everybody's aware. In a minute, I'm going to ask staff to present their report on the application. And then members of the applicant will have a chance to see their application to the side and present evidence for the application. The hearings committee. Yeah, so then the members of the hearing committee will have the opportunity to ask questions of both parties. And then there's another opportunity for both sides to ask each other's questions. Certainly not here to get into debate, but it's more clarification on information. So it's clear for that. After that whole process is taken, we'll probably go into closed session and we'll make forward to go to closed session and discuss the application. If it happens quickly, you're more welcome to stay around, but you may make a decision today. It may take us longer to make that decision. We never know until we get into it, but certainly, regardless of that, once the committee made a decision, we'll be able to notify the decision. That will be the process. It is noted that if the decision is made to refuse, we certainly will allow you to know that below, but you do have a right to appeal to the state after the board within 30 days of receipt of the decision. So, make a decision here. So with that, I will move forward and you will ask. Does anybody have any questions on the process? As I've seen. Not something I will be able to do every day. So, I will now ask staff to repeat the name and location of the application with the report.
Yeah, as I mentioned, I'm the standing and my youth regulations officer. So I'll be presenting our here at 75 Blackfriars Street, City of London. The recommendation is that application 114 for proposed development within the river flood hazard plan associated with the North County River, referred to as the West London Potential Special Policy Area, regulated by the UTRCA at 75 Blackfriars Street, City of London, be refused by the UTRCA Hearing Committee and is contrary to UTRCA West London Potential Special Policy Area policies. So the proposed application, section 28 permit application 11424 has been submitted for the proposed construction of an approximately 220 square meters, two-story addition with an existing commercial office building on lands entirely regulated by the UTRCA. Next slide. So here's our regulation limit mapping or regulated area mapping. The property is highlighted or circled in red. So just to get into where it's located, I wish I would have seen where it before. So it's City of London, it's west of downtown. So just west of the property is Warwick Road North. South of it is Blackfriars Street. North of it is I can't remember what street that is actually. Empress, thank you. And then to the east is the Thames River, North Thames River. So also I just want to find out, so the West London Dyke is just on the west side of the Thames River there. And then if you go a little further south, there's Gibbons Park, and just to give you an overview of where. Okay, next slide. So here's without our regulated areas on the site. So also the previous one, it showed in hatching that it's completely regulated. That whole area is in the West London Potential Specialty Policy Area. So on this one, you can see the site. You can see there's a large commercial building and then accessory structure and parking. Yeah, so just an overview of what the site looks like. Next slide. So some background. So here are some sections of the UTRCA Environmental Planning Policy Manual that speak to special policy areas. So section 2.2.7.1.2.3, special policy areas are specifically identified areas that are not protected to the minimum provincial standard. The area must be a viable community that feasibly cannot be protected from the risk of flooding. Through the implementation of a special policy area, the provincial government may permit certain activities that do not meet the minimum provincial standards. Special policy areas must be supported by the municipality and the conservation authority and must be approved by the ministries of natural resources and municipal affairs and housing. So some specific policies to consider for this are no basements, flood proofing to maximum, no new separates, no lots, no intensification of use, preference for residential conversion to commercial type uses, no daycares, hospitals, nursing homes, etc. Next slide. Okay, so section 2.2.7, 1.1.3.3, special policy areas. So in those limited cases where a special policy area is applicable, the limits of the special policy area and policies must be supported by the UTRCA and must be approved by the municipality, the Ministry of Natural Resources, and the Ministry of Municipal Affairs and Housing. In cooperation with the municipality, the UTRCA may identify potential special policy areas and implement interim policy requirements for these areas while the formal special policy area review and approval process is underway. So this is this area. So it has not been supported by provincial ministries. It's just been supported by UTRCA as well as the City of London. So it's an area where it is susceptible to flooding. However, because there's the West London lake system and because it's a viable community, we have applied these interim policies that are a bit more permissive to allow them, but it's still flood hazard. Next slide. So some more background about this application. So through pre-consultation, the UTRCA, the consultation with the UTRCA, the applicants were advised that any development plans for these plans would be subject to UTRCA policy requirements, specifically for the West London potential SPA. So existing commercial office building has a basement, so that's below ground level for only part of its step, which raises the first floor significantly higher than grade level. So it's like a sunken basement. So when you go into the building, you go up some stairs to the first floor, go down some stairs to the basement. It was advised that as part of the Section 28 permit process, proposed addition would be required to be flood-proof to the height of the main floor, first floor of the building located at 75 Blackfriars Street, which is the higher of the adjacent structures, rather than the main floor, first floor of the existing commercial office building, which is typically, so within the West London SPA, when it comes to additions, our policies require that the addition be flood-proofed to the first floor of the existing structure. However, for this one, through internal discussion with management, we deemed it to be reasonable to allow in this case to lower it to the higher of the adjacent structures. It was also communicated that the principle of development must first be established through zoning, and any additional planning review will need to be taken into consideration prior to applying for the section. Okay, next slide. Okay, so the UTRCA has provided comments already regarding development requirements for the subject lands through site plan consultation, so SPC 22-152, a minor variance application, A.007-23, site plan application, SPC 23-088, as well as most recently a site plan consultation SPC 22-152. So comments were as follows in those planning comments. So the first one, bolded, is the most important, which indicates that policies for the SBA require that floodproofing measures to regulatory flood elevation will be required if feasible. And so noting that the regulatory flood elevation is significantly higher than the first floor. So this is all flood hazard. Without the dike system, it would be over a meter of flood depth. So ideally, we would want it to be flood-proof to the regulatory, if that's feasible, or at minimum to the height of the main floor, first floor of the existing structure, or the main first floor of the higher of adjacent structures. Based on previous correspondence between the applicant and UTRCA staff, the finished floor elevation for the proposed addition will need to meet or exceed the height of the main floor, first floor of 71 Blackfriars Street. So we ask that be clearly identified. And then we additionally require detailed floodproofing measures, as well as no basements are permitted. And because they were proposing it to be lower than that elevation of 71 Blackfriars Street, it was deemed to be a basement. Okay, next slide. So the proposal, so on May 13th, 2024, UTRCA, so myself, received an application from Zelenka Preamble Limited, Dave Ninham, on behalf of Southside Construction Management Limited, Vito Regia, for the proposed development. Construction of a two-story, 220 square meter addition at the front of the existing office building. And then that the two-story addition will allow for the facilitation of an expanded office space consisting of a new reception area, lobby, staff offices, and boardroom, and also for barrier-free access to be provided throughout. So here's just a snippet of the drawings that were provided. It's kind of tough to see, but I just wanted to give an overview of where. So on the right side is being Blackfriars Street, and then on the set link at the bottom is towards Portland Road. So that's where they're proposing the addition. Okay, next slide. And so here's another one zoomed in, showing the architectural drawings. And so this one, I just wanted to show, like, make it clear how this is a sunken basement, and then like stairs going down to the basement and stairs going up to the main floor. And so then there's an elevator that would take up to the other floor. Okay, next one. Yeah, it's really hard to see on these. I wish I could have highlighted this, but during the package. But this one, get a closer look. Okay, so this is the ground floor plan. So this would be the first floor of the addition, right over here. And then you can see that when you go through this existing doorway, there's stairs that take you downstairs to the meeting room. And then there's stairs that go upstairs. And so this one shows the open space. So I'm assuming, and the applicant's presentation will probably explain this more, that it's a vaulted ceiling. So you can see here, this is the existing first floor of the structure with the reception area. Okay, next slide. Pardon? Yes, that's the proposed structure. And then this is from the submission from the applicant. So just showing that they had elevations taken. And so from their elevation survey, assuming that the entrance for the existing structure is, they'll probably, I think it's in the presentation as well, is 0. So you can just see kind of an idea of different elevations. So most of the surrounding houses, so it's mainly residential, are a lower first floor elevation, and the one at 71 Blackfriars, which is directly east, yeah, is so it would be approximately like 13 inches higher than the existing entrance door. So 13 inches, so just over a foot.
Okay,
Right?
okay.
Okay, next slide. Yeah, I think there'll be a lot of duplication of information. It'll be pretty quick. So discussion analysis, so the application has been evaluated for conformity with general flood hazard policies contained within section 4 of the UTRCA environmental and policy manual. Next slide. Okay, so applicable policy. So development, the construction, reconstruction, erecting or placing of a building or structure of any kind. So this is what this is development, post development. I don't think I need to go through the rest of the ones. Next slide. Section 28, 1 of the Conservation Authorities Act states that no person shall carry on or permit another person carry on development activities in areas that are within the authority's area of jurisdiction and are river or stream valleys. So subject to subsection 28.1.1. Authority to issue a permit to a person to engage in activities specified in the permit that would otherwise be prohibited by section 28. In the opinion of the authority, the activity is not likely to affect the control of flooding, erosion, dynamic beaches, or unstable soil or ground. And then the activity is not likely to create conditions or circumstances that, in the event of a natural hazard, might jeopardize the health or safety of persons or result in the damage or destruction of property. Next slide. So here's our general flood hazard policies. So section 4 of the UTRCA planning and policy manual contains the following policies for special policy areas. So 1.2.2 under the river range flooding hazard policies, and there's 1 special policy areas. So development within approved special policy areas shall be consistent with the approved policies. So we do have approved special policy areas in the city of London, so the folks, but for potential special policy areas, such as the West London and Ada Street in the city of London, the following interim policies apply. A, intensification of use, either through the creation of lots or through zoning, is not permitted. Conversion of residential uses to commercial uses is encouraged. B, new basements are not permitted. C, permitted activities will include additions less than 100% increase in size, accessory buildings to existing uses, and other minor works. And then the floodproofing measures, the regulatory flood elevation will be required if feasible, or at minimum to the height of the main floor, first floor of the higher of the adjacent structures. E, for new structures, detailed floodproofing measures must be submitted on drawings prepared by a qualified professional with sufficient surveys and inspections to allow for provision of as-built drawings on completion of the project. So just going back to B, so I just want to note that it does say at minimum the height of the main floor of the higher of adjacent structures. So that's what's in our policy. However, our internal staff approach is that if it's an addition, that it's to the first floor of the existing structure with the additions on. Okay, next slide. The proposed development at 75 West Street as currently proposed. So it meets current policies A and C. However, it does not currently meet policies B, E, and E. We can go back to the previous slide. So B, new basements, C, floodproofing to the main floor, first floor elevation, the higher adjacent structures, and then again, we don't have the detailed floodproofing. However, right now it's mainly T. Okay, next slide. Sure.
Oh, sorry, we'll be able to clarify that one.
Okay, so therefore, previous slide. Therefore, the proposed development does not meet all of the standard review criteria for staff to issue the necessary section 20. So, should this application be approved by the hearing committee, the requirement for final reports and drawings prepared through the municipal site plan process and to the satisfaction of the UTRCA would be appropriate. Should include the detailed flood Next slide. In conclusion, the proposal is non-conforming because it does not meet all UTRCA interim policy requirements for the West London Commercial Special Policy Area and general staff review criteria for similar projects. The proposal is contrary to policy and therefore staff must recommend refusal of application 114.24. And the applicant has advised that they wish to proceed with the hearing. Next slide. And that's the end of the presentation. So, yeah.
I'll call upon the applicant, and northern agent, will now speak and make any comments on the staff report, please. You go on for the
I would say good evening. Sorry to get back. Just go to the next slide. It's going to be one that I think we've done. So I'm going to do most of the talking in terms of the presentation. We have subject matter experts here available to answer any questions at the end if needed. Apologies in advance if there is some repetition with respect to Jessica's presentation as well. We've dug into some of these issues that staff have, obviously. But if we just want to go through to the next slide. So I've just given a quick synopsis in terms of this is an aerial photograph of the subject lands. As indicated, currently developed for a two-story office building, including a gymnasium and a one-story accessory building with various surface parking and landscaping. The site has frontage on Blackfriars, a couple of acres of Blackfriars, and then it has frontage onto Empress. Surrounding land uses are a mix of residential uses and a variety of built forms within the direct. Next slide. So in later slides, I provide some graphics with the copy of the insert site plan and some renderings that we've prepared. But just in summary, the proposed development consists of the construction of a two-story addition on the undeveloped grass area in front of the existing office. The primary purpose of the proposed addition is to provide a building entrance and reception area at grade to make the entire building handicap accessible. The new elevator that's proposed would provide access up to the upper floors of the building as well, which is currently only accessed by stairs. Obviously, the addition would also facilitate expanded office space, which is indicated would be additional reception area, lobby, staff offices. Southside are requesting permission from the Conservation Authority Hearing Board for the front office addition to be constructed at the same elevation as the existing front end. Alternative locations for the addition were explored. However, this was the actual location that was chosen depended on the location of the existing lift. As you'll see in the renderings moving forward, AGO Architects have produced an attractive addition that's been designed to be respectful to the historical character of the existing building and the surrounding neighborhood. Next slide. So this is just an excerpt of the site plan. The grey area is existing buildings, the white area is proposed addition. You can see it's substantially smaller than the existing building. The proposed addition, as I indicated, is on the undeveloped grass area in front of the building. It's been designed to fully comply with all the minimum setback requirements applied through the zoning. The area around the new entrance will be reconfigured to provide for all the requisite design facets you would expect to see, particularly the barrier-free access, bicycle parking, landscaping, etc. Next slide, please. So the top image is a group of the existing office. The bottom image is an architectural rendering showing the contemporary and attractive addition, including the landscape area. And if you want to leave that off for a second, we can come back. Next slide, please. So as you can see from the list provided there, there's been a significant amount of time and resources that we've expended at this point to get the proposed addition approved at a municipal level. As you can see, there was an original minor variance application, rezoning to convert the church through to the current office and gymnasium. Most recently, we went through a minor variance application to permit the office use beyond the existing building, which was tailored through that 2012 approval. Because this is a listed building, we had to do a period of alteration permit approved by the city. We've also gone through site plan approval through that application and the others as well. There's been a range of technical referrals, fully vetted, including heritage, archaeological, engineering, landscape planning, etc. Also, in addition to that, there has been a full endorsement in writing for the proposed addition from Blackfriars and witnesses. Next slide, please. As indicated in Jessica's presentation, these are the staff conclusions. The bolded words I've added in bold. I think it's important to acknowledge at this point in time that with regards to the Section 28 application, we understand staff settings are somewhat tied with respect to recommending approval, given that all the applicable standard review criteria haven't been met. I think it's important here to note the staff report concludes that the application meets most of the flood hazard policies. However, because not all, and we'll get into that a little bit later, all of the policy requirements of the special policy area, they must recommend review. We're hopeful that we're here today, hopeful that the committee will agree with us and consider that there's certain circumstances associated with the context of this particular proposal that would allow approval of our concept. These are the relevant policies for the special policy area. Those in green are the policies that staff confirm the proposed development meets. Those in red are those that staff consider the proposal currently does not meet. I plan to focus the rest of the presentation on those three policies and subsequent slides. Go to the next slide. So this is subsection B, new basements not permitted. It's acknowledged there is a basement in a portion of the existing building. However, the proposed addition, which is highlighted in red, does not include any new basement in its traditional sense. As mentioned, the primary purpose of the proposed addition is to provide a building entrance in the section area of grade, making the entire building handicap accessible, such that the addition has been designed and constructed at the same elevation of the existing front entry. It's our opinion, given that there's no basement proposed, the general intent of this policy. Next slide. This is just a quick slide that provides construction drawing sections of the building, which confirms the grade difference, which is outlined red between the existing basement and the proposed floor areas. As illustrated, there's no new basement proposed. So again, as we indicate, it's our opinion that that particular subsection, the general intent is there. Next slide. So we concur with staff with respect to subsection B. This is probably the potatoes and that possibly argument, but I don't want to put any of this weight on the other two subsections. But we understand that the Conservation Authority standard policy approach is to require such building additions as proposed to have a finished floor area equal to or higher than the highest of the main floor elevation. To assist with this review, our client retained surveying crew to shoot the first floor elevations of the buildings and the surrounding properties. These are all residential buildings. Using the existing south side entry for finished floor area as the effectively zero, the control elevation, and that's highlighted by the red circle. The finished floor elevations of the other buildings were recorded relative to that benchmark, and that's displayed in the graphic with the survey results. So the data shows the finished floor elevation of the south side building is substantially higher than that of most of the buildings in the budding properties. Those are the properties with green stars. One notable exception is the front portion of the raised ranch property adjacent to the east at 71 Blackfriars, which is 13 inches higher than the south side. However, you'll see from the images that I'll display later in the presentation, this is at real odds in terms of these other properties within that surrounding institution, given its elevated main floor. I think it's also important to note when looking at number 71 that the main floor of the rear part of the building, which is identified as a green arrow, is substantially lower, nearly a metre, than that of the proposed south side addition, such that if you averaged out the two from front to back, then that average height would actually be lower than the south side addition by over a metre. Sorry, half a metre. As mentioned previously, the primary purpose of the proposed addition is to provide for a building entrance and reception grade to ensure that the entire building is handicap accessible. So the building has been designed at the same elevation as the existing entry, having a base 4 levels on the front of this single property to the east with the purpose of providing a fully accessible building. Further, I'd add that as part of the civil materials that development engineering prepared through the development applications, it confirms that the post-development flows will match pre-development flows, and with the inclusion of the swale running along that easterly property line. It's our team's opinion, the potential for flooding, which, by the way, according to the applicants, is never been experienced on the site, would be improved. Next slide. So this is these are Google Street images of number 71. As you can see from the adjacent, it's an adjacent raised ranch. As you can see from the top image, the entrance to the rear portion of the building is at grade, which is typical. And that entrance is lower than the finished floor elevation proposed south side addition. Also in the top image, you'll see that the general grade heights of the buildings further to the east are also lower than the finished floor elevation proposed. The bottom image shows honestly the uncharacteristic nature of the raised front entrance, especially when compared to the building to the east. That's right. Typically, with raised ranches, the doors will be located at grades similar to what's you would find in the back of the property, and then the stairs will be located inside. However, this is not the case with this front portion of the building. As such, we're asking for the committee to take into consideration the unusual physical context of the front portion of this adjacent building and considering the merits and obvious benefits associated with the proposed south side addition. Next slide, please. So just circling back to subsection E. Co-elevate co-elevate was retained by Southside to provide structural engineering consulting services for the proposed addition. Once again, we have emphasised no basement in the traditional part of that addition. Co-elevate confirmed the letter that's attached to the agenda package that they will be designing the structural elements of the proposed addition to resist all imposed loads with regards to hydrostatic pressure as indicated in the building code. And it is a measure of a number of mitigating measures that we include through the construction of those listed. As indicated in the staff report, if the committee is minded to approve, then Southside would be willing to accept the condition with respect to the condition recommended in the staff regarding detail. This is the last slide. Just a few concluding remarks. As indicated, an extensive range of support technical materials being prepared and reviewed and approved for this proposed addition. Project has been fully endorsed by the local neighbourhood association. Outlined in the materials provided in this presentation and in our team's materials, it's our opinion that the project meets the general intent of the UTRCA and special policies, which seek to control flooding. It's our opinion that the design elements and measures proposed is with the elements and measures proposed is likely the conditions and circumstances in the event of a natural hazard would actually be improved. As I mentioned a number of times, the primary focus on this application is to provide for the handicap accessibility to the entire building. Having a base at all levels on number 71 and this front of number 71 would defeat the purpose of trying to provide full accessibility. It's such for us in the committee to allow the south side to construct the proposed addition at the same elevation as the existing. It's our understanding that under section 28.1 Conservation Authority Act, this steering committee has the authorization in circumstances such as this visual permit for the proposed addition. As I indicated, if approval is made, south side would be agreeable to this. That concludes my presentation. Consider it as indicated our team is available to answer any questions.
Very much. Is there anything else that either the applicant or staff would like to ask or clarify their questions? There, for the party. And then I will now turn over to the hearings committee for the please.
I'd like to give you a little bit of history of this property. So about 10, 11 years ago, property it used to be a church known as the Empress United Church. That congregation merged with another congregation and done into that. Building needed a lot of work, needed a light system, new plumbing, new windows, so forth and so on. And it did have a lift, to go from the lower level to the main floor. Main level of the church used to have a soup kitchen, offices. Well, the lower level is exactly 6 feet low. Our building is also a raised bench. The term raised bench is used by David. So we basically have an area that's 10 by 12 feet. You walk in, you can and then you have the choice to go upstairs to the main floor, the downstairs to the lower level, and I'll stop and vent. I'm sorry if I don't reach anything. We bought the property, we did some renovation, we had to go through a rezoning process, city supported us. We also, at the time of the rezoning, we did major construction, we added, the heights of the church were almost 32 feet on the main floor of the church. We didn't need 32 feet for the so we added a third floor, we paid development fees. We did that because we knew in the future we would need more of this space. The biggest problem we have with our building, it's a basement. So if somebody comes in that has handicap accessibility, and I was in that case 6 months ago because I had some physical problems, they can't get upstairs. Okay, so the only way to really fix this issue is to have an addition. That's really the main purpose of this building. We do have more office space upstairs, so we pay development fees, we can get a building permit and build up there. But I also have employees who need assistance, who can't walk. It's 4 sets of stairs. So and the neighborhood's in full support of this. So Black Bear Association Youth with our premises, their monthly, bi-monthly meetings. We run, we run the lightning trains in our gym also. This is a win-win situation for everyone. You can have one house directly east of you, which is a raised ranch, and say, well, that elevation is higher than yours. It's not higher than my neighbor, it's higher than my neighbor. Okay, so that raised ranch, the stairs on the outside, they were on the inside of the building, their elevation would be much lower than my elevation. They understand the schematics of it. And it's a simple, it's a raised ranch. You're comparing the height of a raised ranch to my main entrance. My building's also. We're not going to a basement. We do have a lower level, we have a basement area, but it's not right now. 2 to 3 weeks ago, we had major floods in the city. We had no. Okay. We had in parts of West Mount, parts of East London, manholes overflowing, water pressure was pushing the manhole to the top, some of the storm manholes. We didn't have any problems there. To me, I mean, we're here, I've been working on this project for 3-4 years, trying to get approvals. We're building everywhere. We've got 20 projects. And we love them, we love the location, we love our county, we love the neighborhood, we want to stay there. We're asking for your assistance to David and Nathan.
Nothing else. Thank you very much. Members of the committee can now ask questions. Ask them to comment this time for discussion of both the applicant and staff.
Can we see a topographic map of the area? Is there one you can project?
If they're looking for, like, not one that's required.
Well, what I'm trying to get at is the difference between these two properties. Not so much the 2 buildings, but the 2 properties. So if I look at the pictures, there seems to also be a difference in the height. It's from photograph 75 and 71. But if I see a topographic map, I'm just trying to get what that is. Sorry? Compliment, yes. Sorry.
Just on a point of clarification. Last rules and procedures. That was not presented by you as part of. Are we able to have that now?
No, Mr. Levin, I can answer your questions, but my elevation. Yeah, okay.
And well, the chair, it is higher. So if you just look at the street, where the grass area is raised up, yeah, and it's about a meter higher than 70. I don't know if that helps, if you still would like to see it.
No, that kind of answers my question. Couple of other questions. Trying to understand. So I'm looking at the condition D, which I agree with the presentation of D is the note of the issue. So it's a flood protein measures with regulatory flood elevation and by if feasible or at a minimum. So to me that says either or. So if there are flood proofing measures with a regulatory flood elevation, is the condition met? Even if the other half isn't.
because the other half is an or. And I've always been given to understand you need one or the other. If it says add, you need, if it says and, you must need both. So I'm trying to understand that section better in this case.
To the chair, it might have been with clarification on that. Are you wondering about the existing structures elevation? Or whether it would be to the regulatory flood elevation and then or to the first floor elevation?
I'm just reading the regulation as it's written. And to a certain extent, it's kind of irrelevant for the property type that we discussed. However, it says flood protein measures the regulatory flood elevation. And what's the regulatory flood elevation in this location? It's one part of the answer. And then the next part is will be required if feasible. Right? So our flood proofing measures for the regulatory flood elevation feasible. Yes or no?
Through the chair, so we do get this question often, I understand now. So the preference is to have any development, whether it's a condition or not, flood proof to the highest extent and a minimum to that regulatory flood elevation. But because it's within the special policy area, to flood proof it to the regulatory flood elevation, would need flood proofing it a meter, 2 meters high. Like it's the flood depth for the regulatory is quite significant. And so
So
typically we ask them at minimum to do the first floor elevation, which typically is what we receive.
so what I'm hearing you say is that first part, which hinges on if feasible, is not in existence. Therefore, we have to rely on the or clause at a minimum to the height of the main floor of the higher qualification structure. So help me understand why that becomes the critical part of this discussion. Why to, how does that make a difference for the work that we do in protecting people's property?
Through the chair, my understanding that it's involved in these policies clearly.
Yeah.
But my understanding from internal staff review is that we need a place to require it. And so requiring it to be a higher adjacent structures allows it to be flood proof, like to a higher extent according to the.
Yeah, maybe, yes, through the chair, but, yeah, when we're talking about special policy areas, recognizing this is fully special policy areas, the same idea is flipped to mind, and that is, these are historical neighborhoods. So making wholesale changes to the characteristics of the neighborhood by requiring floodproofing to the regulatory would, amount to huge,
I get that.
2 meters high.
I get that.
So trying to provide that balance and practicality aspect, something that blends in well with the existing neighborhood, dropping that on stones, but is the highest extent feasible. Clearly, it's feasible for the adjacent property owner. It should be feasible for any more additions in that same area. So again, it's recognizing these very historic neighborhoods. That yes, there will be some additions, but our main is to keep people and property safe. And by raising it up as much as possible, is our goal.
Well, let me then try to get my head around the delicate clause and do with the addition to invariably provide accessibility. What are the, whether they're engineering or construction limitations to meeting the condition of having it roughly in the field? And I don't, again, we're 71 years. you're doing some sewer work, I think, the drawings correctly. What makes that something that can't be done?
I would wind up being too high to meet AODA standards for accessibility for the path of travel.
Because right now, if there's a flood, every other house in the neighborhood will be flooded before Vito's property is, except for the private buildings. Everything else is in walls.
And there is. I didn't know. I would never buy it. You guys just had $20 million. To build the West London Bank. West London Bank is not a bank. It's basically, it's a system that protects us from flooding, and it has for the last 80, 90 years, since 1933. I have no concern. We haven't had, I've been there for 10 years. We haven't had any flooding. And I understand that your policies are that it's floodplain because you assume that the bank's not there. But the bank is there. That's reality. And I'm happy that you guys just rebuilt the bank a few years ago. So I want to thank you.
Look, I've lost it. I noticed also on the drawing that the north side of the property is noted as future development. Possible. What I'm wanting to get my head around is what we're doing today. Limit or does it provide any precedent or any potential future application on the north side where it's currently undeveloped? Just from an upper Thames perspective, because I saw it's the policy no more than 100% addition. Clearly, this isn't. Hard to say what anything in the future would be. I just want to make sure that what we're doing today, what impact might it have on the future, or can't we even consider that? I'm looking at Graham. I thought you were about to say something. Maybe I need to hear from staff. Maybe I need to hear from staff.
Did I just clarify that it was a full height gymnasium in between?
Yeah.
So the office area, nobody's made right now to get to the north. This is a 10th basement level.
Yeah, that's fine. I just, architects and engineers have always heard to do pretty much everything.
Yeah.
So I just want to be sure I'm not confining the future either from the perspective of the proponent or from our regulatory. I just want to be clear as I'm making my decision on this, that I'm not influencing the future. How I am influencing the future, then who am I influencing? Anybody want to help me with that one?
I feel like this is a sort of unique project where the reason why we found here today is because we're trying to make it very accessible. So this isn't a case of people who finger point and say, well, they did that, so why can't we? This is a case where it's an existing building. We're adding an addition to make it very accessible, and we're enhancing the 71 block drives to the east while we're doing this addition, and it's sort of not, it's not going to become a template or cookie cutter for other future projects become and point their fingers and say that this is a very special case or it's an existing building and it's an office for community family needs. It's something that is really needed for this building to function in the future.
I'm going to direct, see if you want to talk about decisions on one application, that each application has to be comes on its own merits. So.
in our money. I hear your question.
Yeah.
Question is, see the president said. Yes. Some people say.
Or is,
Yeah, the reverse. You can't agree.
yeah, but I just heard you know, say it's just, government, that years. I believe that is.
I have a couple of queries. I guess I'm gonna try to word this question, probably more of a question for UTRCA, but I do realize we've got delegations here, the engineers and dealing with the sort of lay of the land, the delegation mentioned, in fact, it's like, I would always think from my experiences of being around London, lots of times at the back of the ballpark, that it was sort of dry on that side of the river, not really, it's like, when it was the other side of the river, then here is part of it. For whatever reason, sadly, because the force of the center right there, that would be, it seemed to be under the water since we lost. My guess, my feeling, my gut reaction is, being an engineer myself, that would be the sort of dry side, or drier side. So that's why my question is, I'm just asking, stay with it. Our Tracy would be is when they talk about the floodplain, that's 20-year, 200-year flood results. Am I correct by assuming we're saying that that's for this drier side of the river as far as long-term safety is part of not getting flooded on the west side of the Thames in that area?
Yeah, and it's fair, that's only because the Westland is protected that community, right? So the evidence from the 90s, like here shows that entire community underwater. There's lots of evidence that some buildings in that area still show the watermarks from there. But that's come up during that 90s. So it very much is floodplain, and unfortunately it is protected by the Westland Dike. But we do know that dikes and other things fail, and so you can't really consider engineered solutions when it comes to floodplains. But we know that there always is the possibility that they can get. So that's why that community is still identified as floodplain, and it's identified as this policy area. You recognize that there's a historic community there, and so our policies there are slightly more permissive, knowing that there is a effective dike there, and that historic.
Further questions? I have some, so, I believe the height of the zero mark, the 0.0 that you go on there, that is the entrance way that's currently.
The entrance way is 10 by 15 feet. And then when you walk into a building, then you have to make a decision.
Okay. This is question to staff. So I just want to clarify, you did mention why the base and structure. Could you clarify that again?
Yeah, so we would leave it in the basement because it's below the first floor of the agency structure. So because it's below, we can't really check off that there's no basement. But it is not, yeah, exactly.
Well, the next question to the applicant is there is, besides an elevator shaft, is there any foundation and stuff, but there's everything is above that very great at the current level of the entrance. Nothing more about the side of the elevator shaft.
And the elevator shaft, you have to have this. It's only.
The current building right now has the basement. And they're viewed by the pictures, the windows into that basement. And the entrance to the current building is obviously above those windows right now.
No, actually, the entrance. The entrance is. It's halfway in, isn't it?
So the sill height of the window is lower than our entrance.
The current policy applies only to the addition of flood-proofing, not. So. So this is a question just for clarification on policy through staff. There is only one building that black fires that can be higher than elevation, and then applicant director. If that was not the case and all were lower, what would the policy? Get a solution? But at the most current level or where would that go?
Yeah, through the chair, it was a big internal discussion when we reviewed this, knowing that it was a range and knowing that, it doesn't seem realistic to require the flood routes to the existing first floor elevation because it's so much higher. So I think if it was much lower, then it would have to be whether we go with that or not. Yeah, I can't say whether we would.
So the applicant has stated that they would conform to the conditions that were put forward by staff. Is that being a non-engineer, is that considered flood proofing up to the current maintenance level? Is that be? I mean, proposed, that's the low, the new proposed entrance is the lowest opening. On the structure. I have no more questions.
Through the staff, in terms of if we were to approve this, we have bullet point condition. I also noticed in the co-elevate report that, and in the presentation of the other pieces of that is what is in front of us in the report sufficient, or do we need, if we were to approve this with conditions, do we need to add material that was presented that's in the co-elevate letter? It is more detailed than what's in your report.
Through the chair, actually, we would need more information than what the is providing. So typically we do ask for the additional flood proofing measures such as qualitative as outlined. However, the major flood proofing requirement is that to whatever elevation is decided here, that the foundation has been flood proofed to that elevation for lateral hydrostatic pressures during a flood.
Right.
Yeah, which is not something. Yeah, sorry.
I guess what I'm trying to put down. If we, have this motion in my head, but there might be a motion to say prove this, like I said, hypothetical situation with the following condition. Is this paragraph in the report sufficient direction?
Yes.
Is there anything else that you would suggest to this committee if we were to allow the section 28 in addition to that bullet area?
Through the chair, do you think we could get that up on the screen just so we can see it?
There's some understanding that, I mean, there would be no basins, which there won't be any. And the key issue, as I understand, is even condition D. And E. Well, yeah. So even E. Is there anything else other than D and E would need to be an investigation to Give them the section from the.
Just to clarify, the committee will decide who has the right vote to get consent. This is the. So,
One to athletes.
Word staff.
Yeah, so that last piece is what's noted. So near as I can tell, that's the only condition that staff have suggested to this. Thank you. Next slide, but we were applying for a building permit for the house next door. Closest floor above grade is the ground floor. So that would be the ground floor, not the front portion, that portion. Applying for building permit. Oh,
Also, in addition to the lateral hydrostatic pressure, other considerations. Don't worry about it. Okay. So it's not just lateral hydrostatic. On sequel surface. Would you like to make recommendations? It's already covered for on the obligation to make sure that it's built. It's just fine. It's start taking care
Thank you.
This may be a simplistic way to look at it. But if I were to buy a property next to me on the east side, 71.
yeah, I don't know why you didn't do that.
I mean, we're in a housing market, you shouldn't be knocking down the but if you're headed to make an end, it's kind of a simplistic way to look at it. But
Simple, sometimes.
Okay, if no more questions, from the committee members, I will offer the opportunity for anybody else to say. Seeing none, these were done there, ask for a motion for the committee to go in, to adjourn and go into camera. Move it. So move, Sandy, and by Paul, for the discussion. All in favor? That's carried. So the committee will now go into, debate, full session, so, this will be, us as the secretary of the room, take notes. We go, so we stick around for a while, yeah, another hour. Take, no problem, but, we kind of. Thank you, everybody. Thank you. Good night.